I'm really excited about our next speaker. Our next speaker is an actor turned speaker, a successful entrepreneur, and he's here all the way from Finland to help make a change. Ladies and gentlemen, Christopher Veiss.
Talking loud and saying something about the way we live our lives.
Yeah!
Talking loud
Woo!
and saying something.
Thank you, thank you. Wow! What a day, huh? Hasn't it been amazing? Wasn't Roger great? Amazing set. You know, I've learned so much today. You know, I love events like these. You know, so much that I've actually made this a major part of my reality for the last 14 years. As a participant, as a volunteer, as a presenter, and as a producer, and as a professional actor. So I'm here on this stage today because I signed up for that J.T. Fox speaker training program. And while I had the feeling that the training was going to be amazing, and my coach, Les, where you at, would be nothing less, pun intended, than phenomenal, the real reason, or the primary reason I signed up was so I could get up on this stage and share this message with you. What I'm about to share has been so profound and so important to me in my life that I gladly invested about $20,000 to be able to get up here and share this message with you. And I want to thank J.T. Fox for creating this program and attracting all these great people together. And I've seen a lot of you today, and only now I realize how good looking I am. Oh, sorry. Lost in translation, I meant how good looking you are. You know, and I've seen a lot of events all around the world, and I gotta say that the level of commitment and feeling of community at this event is just top-notch. So give yourself a round of applause for showing up and being here and committing. So let me ask you a question. Raise your hand if you heard about IKEA. Okay? Keep your hand up if you know that it's from Sweden. Okay? Good. They got good branding, good marketing in Sweden. Now how about this? Nokia. Have you heard about this one? Keep your hand up if you know it's from Finland. Not that many people know that. Well, how about this one? Even more known this today. Angry Birds. Did you know that this is from Finland? Some people do. Most people don't. So we got a problem right here. And this is a thing that JT brought out when we met for the first time in Helsinki, that we Finns, we do a lot of great products and services, but because we don't know how to brand and market them, we just don't get the credit we deserve. So when JT asked me to represent my country at this event, I thought, well, I just might take the opportunity to change that. So let's continue on. You heard about Volvo. They make trucks and they make, very good cars. Swedish. Now how about this one? SISU. Who's heard about this? 2 people. Awesome. This is from Finland, and it actually, to a lot of tests, it beats the Volvo on many levels. It's the official truck of the Finnish military, while the Volvo is mostly for guys doing splits on them or whatnot. No offense to the Swedes and not to Mr. Van Damme. Läkerol makes people talk. Swedish. SISU doesn't make people talk, and it's from Finland, and nobody really knows that. So here we go. We create all these great products and services, and then, people just don't know about them. SISU. We're actually stubborn in Finland, and this is what we're known for. Or not yet, but we're going to be right now, because that's what I'm here to do. Creating a lot of products, or creating good products, takes a lot of determination and tenacity, right? And you guys know this, being entrepreneurs. So we're not good at branding and marketing, and we're not really known for that, but we should at least be known for our stubborn determination. And we actually have so much that we have our own word for it, and we call it SISU. S-I-S-U. Say it with me. SISU. One more time. SISU. We Finns, we got SISU in our blood. So now let me tell you another story. This is Finland. And for hundreds of years, we've been occupied by a lot of different countries. But we always fought them off, and in the end, we regained our freedom, our independence. Now, these stories of these amazing soldiers, these men in the Second World War and before that, it's still told to kids around Finland. You know, they fought off the enemy with 1,000-to-1 ratio, these amazing features. And one of the most tenacious people I ever met was my grandfather. Now, as many men in his generation, he was whisked off into the war, the Second World War, the Winter War, and he was 22 at that time. About 6 months into his deployment, he was on a patrol in the eastern part of Finland, and his friend stepped on a mine only like 10 feet away from my grandfather. Now, my grandpa, Kurt, he was blown back several feet by the explosion, and when he regained consciousness, he realized that half of his right leg was blown off, and he had a lot of shrapnel all around his body. And he passed out and drifted into something that he called a painful sleep. In the next few hours, he passed in and out of consciousness, and he noticed that he was being dragged through the forest on a carrier, and he eventually came into a first aid hospital. And the doctor came over, and they put all the men in one line, dead, half dead, screaming, bleeding, passed out men. So they put them all in a line, and the doctor came over and just quickly looked at all the guys and said, you know, deemed their fate there and then, because there were so many of them, they couldn't take care of everybody. So he came up to my grandpa, and he took a quick look at him and said, nope, this one is gone, just wrap him up. And in the haze of his misery, my grandpa heard this and snapped out of it, and as they were pulling the sheet on top of him, he shoved his hand in the air and said, no, I'm not done yet. So quickly, they took him to another place and they amputated his leg. They put him in a hospital for a few weeks, and then he was sent back home. This attitude of survival was something that he carried with him for the rest of his life. He went on to create a very successful business selling and repairing electronics. Every step he took with his prosthetic leg, he felt pain, excruciating pain. But he never complained. When asked about it, he always said, well, there's always somebody who's got things worse than me, so who am I to complain? It just brings so much honor and respect towards a character who does that. He never spoke about the war, about what he experienced. It wasn't until 2004 when I acted in a war movie which was based on real stories in that same area where he was wounded, then we found a common ground to talk on. And he started sharing stories with me. And he also got to know some of the guys the stories were based on, and so it inspired him to write down his stories for generations to follow. And dude, there's some amazing things there in his memoirs. Later on, he attracted cancer in his bones, metastasized all around his body, and eventually was put in a wheelchair due to some complications with his treatment. See, he had a lot of shrapnel still all around his body, and they hit a nerve in his spine and just paralyzed him because he started moving. And before this happened, he actually, anytime he went to the airport, he had a note from the government stating his situation because he used to trigger off the airport security check, the metal detector. You know, he was like a walking Iron Man or something like that. And there's just something to be told about a attitude like this. You know, it seems like it's just a thing that we're losing as people. And it's not that it's unique to him. We heard stories earlier today about grandfathers and in my country and other countries, but it feels like it's a fading commodity. It's something that we're losing. Instead of living your life from a sense of purpose, duty, honor, diligence, more and more people tend to be consumed by selfishness, superficiality, and instant gratification. Now, I've never come close, even close to experience the pain and suffering that he experienced in the war. Like most of you probably have never experienced that in your own life. But I'm telling you now what he told me, that we have a responsibility to not repeat actions that lead to conflict, to not repeat words that lead to hatred, to not repeat thoughts that lead to misunderstanding and separation, but to live from a level of love, understanding, unity, and humor. So I was there that night when he passed. I was laying next to him in the hospital, and I was looking at him, and he still had this twinkle in his eye, even though I knew he was in severe pain and suffering. So I fell asleep, and a few hours later, the nurse woke me up and said that he was gone. And I stood up, and I remember I felt this surge of energy moving through me. And I was looking at him, and now his lifeless body, and I could feel this presence, like he was there saying that, it's your turn now, I'll leave it to you. So I went out from the room to the lounge where my mom and sister were sleeping, and I woke them up and I told them that he's gone now. And they just broke into tears. And so I took them in my arms and supported them, and I could feel being supported, like I feel I'm being supported right now. Whoop. But don't get discouraged. Even if you're not from Finland, it doesn't mean you can't have SISU. Right? Because SISU is something that is rooted deep within us as human beings. It's something that is innate in all of us. We just need to remember it, reconnect to it, reawaken it, and let it become a governing factor in our life, a governing attribute. And just live a life of openness and harmony. So, if you want to connect and experience SISU for real during this weekend, I hope that you connect with a Finn. And I know that there should be a few of you out there. Is there any Finns in the audience? Half Finns? Yes! Woo! And there's a few more coming, so don't worry. So go up to these people and ask them what they have going on, because they won't necessarily come and talk to you. And do this whenever you come out from this amazing audience as well. And ask them what they have going on and how you can help them bring their product, service, or idea to the world. Because in a family, we have different features, we have different skills, right? And we complete each other. So let's work together as a family and really make this world a better place. And while we're at it, let's just start seeing everybody as a family, regardless of country of origin, or philosophy, or skin color, or faith. Let's evolve into a global family with borders only on maps and not around our hearts. Because that's worth striving for, and that's worth working for. I'm so happy I was able to make it here, regardless of being stranded in Frankfurt for a whole day and, all kinds of issues like a lot of people had. But being up here and seeing you and connecting with you throughout the weekend makes all the effort totally worth it. Like living this life of your ultimate potential as a person, according to, how my grandfather lived it. It all makes sense. It's worth all the strive. So I can't wait to talk to you and can't wait to hear more amazing stories during this weekend. It's been a pure pleasure and honor to share this with you. I hope to see you soon again. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.